Hi, everybody. It's Craig and IC back with your NFL free picks for every game on Saturday, week 2 of the NFL preseason. Before I get to those free picks, we've got a couple things I got to take care of. An important notice, we're going to run a contest every week, both college football and the NFL. All you got to do is put in the comments what you like against the spread. You pick your 5 favorite plays. So if you win, you're going to get a prize pack from us. Now, we're either going to do a pick package from us. You might even get a hat, shirt. We'll figure that out depending on how many people win. But put in the comments what you like and put the numbers. So if you like the Ravens per se and they're 5-point favorites, you like Ravens -5. Then comma, whatever else you like, you got to do 5 picks. And you can't edit them. If you edit them, you're disqualified because you can't tell if it was edited before the game started.
Craig, tell him we'll just tell him to put the team. We'll choose the line, and we'll choose the line based on,
consensus line.
Consensus line. Yeah, and that way, some guys are gonna be like, 3.5, and I got 5.5, and yeah. So and I'll talk to Craig, and we'll try to see if we can get y'all. I'm trying to get you a jersey of your choice sent out to you.
5-0. Got to go 5-0.
Yeah.
So all you got to do is, and then we'll put the comments. We'll grade them. That won't be the day of the game, so don't be like messaging service like, hey, who won? So, but make sure you do that. Also, early bird passes for football are on sale still all the way through week 1 of the NFL. Get in now. You also get the preseason. It's $7.49. That'll get you 1 capper. You can pick me. You pick IC, any capper at the site. And you also get 2 bonus cappers for the first couple weeks of the season as well as an extra bonus. Get in there, go over the website, and get in it. All right, let's right to it. We know what you're here for, the free picks. Packers and the Colts are the first game I see for you. 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time game. Colts favored by 6, total 40. What do you like in this one?
What are we going to do, man? I mean, this is the same situation that the Colts had against the Ravens last week. So it's almost like they're baiting you to try to take the Colts again. The total sits at 40. The Colts just looked abysmal, in my opinion. They lost 16-24 in that game. That was a contest in which you had, Richardson only went 2 for 3. Maybe he'll see more action in this game. Daniel Jones, I thought, was pretty decent, 10 of 21, and Leonard was okay at 12 of 24. I think the more sad thing was Baltimore literally went 5 for 16, and they still managed to win the game because they were able to rush for 177 yards. I mean, that's just how bad this Colts run defense was. But the Colts are back at home. They have new ownership. This is a team that really wants to do well in front of their new crowd. I think what you will see is Daniel Jones, from what I've heard, will handle the first series. And then I've heard Anthony Richardson is expected to play most of the first half if he's healthy. So that's a lot of reps. That's a lot of reps here. And then you have the Packers team that looks like Malik Willis will handle most of the roles here, right? And then Sean Clifford will see some action too. As far as Green Bay, they look like dog poop against the Jets. And, they lost 10-30 in that game. Green Bay's coaching staff wasn't that thrilled, but Malik Willis went 4 for 9 from that game. Outside of Jordan Love, everyone is terrible on that Packer quarterback. They're just terrible. So I think the only way you have to look at this game is you either got to take the Colts to look good. And to be honest with you, in one way, you don't want to take the Colts because you're like, God, man, they ended up losing to a team that went 5 for 16 from, but in another way, you want to be like, I mean, the combination of Richardson and Jones competing with each other, that does kind of make sense, and the Packers are terrible. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to back the Colts here, minus the 6 here. All right, your Cleveland Browns here, Craig. They're hooking up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Cleveland comes in as a +3. Shadur Sanders, I mean, are you buying? He was against, obviously he was against, a terrible defense near the end. When he faced the first-string defense, he did struggle. But the Eagles come in, shockingly defeating the Bengals, in my opinion. I didn't think the Eagles would really show up that game. But the Eagles are a -3 favorite, 39.5 total. Interesting game. What do you like?
Yeah, Eagles-Bengals game, not a whole lot of defense being played in that one. It was like, anybody could score on anybody, it felt like, at any time. Cleveland, obviously, Shador, that was the big story, the takeout. He played great. You really can't say a whole lot. I mean, there was a couple passes and a couple plays where he tries to do the, scramble around, which doesn't work really well in the NFL. But the Eagles defense, they don't have the depth they had the last few seasons. And I think they're going to be very careful in the preseason playing these veterans in the first unit because, when you lose that depth, all of a sudden, you you're not going to have what you had the last few years where they could just rotate guys in, especially on the defensive line. I think there's going to be over in this game. I know last week was a ton of overs. This is a little inflated because I think the line really probably should be 37.5. But I still think Cleveland's defense isn't going to play a lot of their starters, it sounds like, very long. I don't think Philly will either. I think the offenses will have their way in this one. And I hope for Cleveland's sake, because I'm a Bengals fan, that Shedeur starts, because week 1 we play the Bengals, that Shedeur Sanders has a good one. So that way they end up starting him and we could take advantage of that week 1. So, but I do, if I had to play a side, I would take Cleveland plus the 3. But I think the safer play, you take the over in this Cleveland-Philly game. Next game we're looking at is a 1:00 game, Dolphins and the Lions. The Lions obviously were in that game that got cut down early because of injury. So with 10 minutes to go, so you kind of hold that with a grain of salt. Dolphins favored by 3, total 37.5. What do you like here?
I think I like the Dolphins. And keep in mind that Tagovailoa, this is the first time he's played in a preseason, I think, in a long time. And so it's nice to see him play in the preseason. I thought that Zach Wilson looked pretty good, frankly, too. So, you have an opportunity here where I think the quarterbacks have Tagovailoa. By the way, Quinn Ewers was terrible. So I don't see him getting as much action anymore. And I think this Dolphins team actually played pretty well against the Bears. The Bears have a pretty good defense, and you have Dennis Allen leading that defense, right? So I think the fact that they scored 24 points was still pretty impressive by Miami. Detroit did win 17-10, but again, my Falcons they play 2 terrible quarterbacks. So I think it makes a lot of sense here to take the Dolphins here too. You have a Dolphins quarterback tandem that is much better. I mean, obviously Quinn Ewers passed for 5 of 18 for 91 yards and 2 fumbles, and they still tied him. So now what's going to happen is he's not going to get as much action. And I'm not a fan of Herndon Hooker at all. He was terrible. I think Kyle Allen will be decent, but I don't think he's going to do anything over, above, and beyond. And I think it makes sense here to back the Dolphins minus the 3. Craig, Carolina is on the road against Houston. Carolina comes in as a 3-point dog. They lost to Cleveland 10-30 in that game, which is kind of bad. Houston lost 10-20 to Minnesota. Houston comes in as a 3-point favorite. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I think Carolina has to play their starters a little more because they really did not play well in that game. And I think defense especially needs to some cojones check. Let's just say that, because you saw what Shedeur, we already talked about what Shedeur did in that game. So I think there's a lot to play for here. I do like what I saw with Andy Dalton and with Bryce Young. 13-19 for Dalton, 4 of 6 for Bryce Young. I think you're going to see them play a little better both on offense and defense. I'm taking Carolina here. I think this is kind of like a game where you kind of need to fix your psyche a little bit, because week 3 you just don't see a whole lot of starters playing. So this is the last opportunity for them. I think Carolina shows up and plays with a little more heart because they need it. Take Carolina plus 3. Another 1:00 game, the Vikings, underdog at home against maybe the most impressive team after week 1, especially what I expected and what I got was way more. The Patriots minus 2.5 here, total 39.5. What do you like in this one?
Interesting game. The total came in at 39.5, and the Patriots are actually a favorite here coming into this game. I think the takeaway for the Patriots, keep in mind that Washington didn't dress 30 guys. Okay.
That's crazy.
So yeah, you won 48-18, but you didn't dress 30 guys, and many of them didn't even make the trip, including their starting quarterback. So I don't know how impressive it is, but they still come in as a 2.5-point chalk. But I think it's important not to overreact, right? Yep. Because I don't think that they're trying to make lines to send us a message. They're literally just putting lines based on who's going to play and who's not. You know what I mean? And so you have a Minnesota team that did win 20-10 their last game. I think the most impressive team that came out of that was, I thought Howell was pretty good, 11 for 13 from the field. But they're going to face a much tougher defense here, coached by Brian Flores. And I think they'll be in for a bit of a reality check today. I mean, do you really trust Dobbs, Woolridge, and May? May might seek a little bit more offensive reps, right? But I think I actually like the Vikings here. But then again, if you're Mike Vrabel, don't you want to send a message here by trying to win the first 2 preseason games too, and quite possibly against a blue blood now at this point, like the Minnesota Vikings too. But then again, Sam Howell played pretty efficient in his last game too. I think the safer selection here might be the total. I think what happens is the Patriots are going to be in for a huge offensive letdown. I think this Vikings team is going to play pretty decent defense, and I think that total is pretty high as well. And Vrabel's known for his defense, and I don't think they want to get McCarthy hurt. So I actually like the under between these two teams today. San Francisco comes in as a 5.5-point dog to Las Vegas. And I know it's odd to see Las Vegas as favored by so much here, but San Francisco is just looking not to get hurt anymore, dude. They are not. They lost to Denver 9-30. They coming into facing Vegas, and they tied. Vegas obviously tied Seattle 23-all, but they played really well in that second half to the point that Pete Carroll called it fantastic. The second half, we had a fantastic second half. He said, "Who do you like, Craig?"
Yeah, one of the 3 ties was the Raiders game last week, and you don't get very many ties in the NFL to get 3 in an NFL preseason game. Obviously, they don't play overtime, just so if you know. So that's why if you see a +1 out there, like in the regular season, I always say +1. I take the plus, +1 -105 or something. In the preseason, I take the +1 if I'm playing the underdog because if it ends in tie, you win. So a little tidbit there. I'm gonna make this easy. The Raiders are going to play more starters and more second unit guys longer. This veteran 49ers team has lost a lot of depth. Once they had to pay Purdy, a lot of guys had to go. And a lot of the best players on other teams are former 49ers. And I think that's going to start to show. It showed in the first preseason game. I think it's going to show again. I just don't see many San Francisco playing in this one. So give me the Raiders -5.5. Before I get to the next game, it's the Battle of LA. But don't forget, if you haven't got in on the premium level, all you got to do here at YouTube, we have 3 different levels. $4.99 is the first level. You get early access and a video from Detroit Lenny 5 days a week. Level 2 is IC for $19.99, and you get the level 1 included as well. And then that's a 5 free picks every day and a couple of live shows on top of that. And then if you get the Premium Plus, you get all 3 levels, and you get 3 premium plays from Doc Sports experts on top of the first 2 levels. So make sure you check that out. All right, let's get to the Battle of LA. It's a 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time game. Chargers favored by 4. Rams are the home team, even though both the teams obviously from LA. Total of 37. What do you like in this one?
Do you know the Chargers lost one of their key offensive linemen, basically for the season?
Yeah.
And I think that's going to hurt them long run. But I will tell you this, obviously this team beat the Lions, and they had a pretty nice game against the New Orleans, but New Orleans is terrible, of course. But having said that, and obviously they might be in the tanking mode for Manning, I thought Lance was pretty good. 7 for 14 for 55 yards. I thought that was pretty decent. The Rams come into this game having beaten Dallas 31-21, and I told you about it in one of our leans. I said I'm really high on Stetson Bennett. Remember when I said that? I was like, I'm really high on Stetson Bennett, and he came through 188 yards. He played really well. I think Garoppolo is going to see a lot more snaps in this game, and I think that's why they're going to suck. So I think I actually trust the Chargers a little bit more here. I just think they played just more fundamental football, and Heineke, both you call him Heineke, right? Heineke. I just like Heineken so much. I'm about to pop one right now. But I thought Heineke, 1 for 5, and but DJ had a phenomenal game. He threw 1 pass, but almost for 50 yards and a touchdown. I think the Chargers are the more fundamental team here. I think Stetson Bennett isn't going to see as many looks as Garoppolo is, and I'm going to back the Chargers here -4. Plus, I think the Chargers will kind of want to win after their offensive lineman went out too, just for a little morale boost too. So keep that in mind. Jets come in as a 3.5-point dog. They said they beat Green Bay 30-10 impressively. Now they come in as a 3.5-point dog to the Giants, who beat Buffalo on the road 34-25. And not only are the Giants favored, they're favored by the hook -3.5. Who do you like, Craig?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of perception in the first game because the Giants quarterbacks played well. They did play well. You always say, hold that with a grain of salt because, you're usually not getting number 1 defenses, or at least not all of them, and they're usually pretty vanilla out there for the most part. I like the Jets here a little more. I just think first-year coach Glenn, I think you saw it in the first one. He's kind of the rah-rah guy, and I think his players are going to, really respond this year. I think early in the season, this team's going to be better than what people are going to give them credit for. I do think they'll probably still maybe fall short of the playoffs, but I still think they're still going to be in that neighborhood. I like them plus the points here. I could see them even losing by 3, and you get that hook. So give me the Jets plus 3.5. There's a lot of overreaction to the Giants, both Dart and Wilson. I think they still will play. I just don't know if we'll see them play quite as well. I do like this Jets defense a little more than the Giants. All right, next game we're looking at for Saturday, the Bucs and the Steelers. Steelers looked pretty good last week, FYI. Tampa Bay also as well, -3, total 39. What do you like here?
You're right. I thought that I thought Kyle Trask played really well. Baker Mayfield is listed as day-to-day. He was supposed to start in this game, but he's listed as day-to-day due to a hand contusion. And then you have a situation where Pittsburgh actually, we could see Aaron Rodgers in this game. But you have a Pittsburgh team that I thought Thompson went, 20 for 28, 3 touchdowns and 233 yards. Mason Rudolph went 9 for 10 threw for touchdown, 84 yards. So all of these guys are looking to, continue to play well. It's interesting. The Bucs come in as a minus 3-point favorite. So, they're not really respecting Pittsburgh's big win over Jacksonville, if you will, in a preseason game. And then again, Tampa Bay. I thought Tampa Bay played pretty well. Like I'm actually pretty high on Tennessee. I think they're not as bad as people think they are. So I actually like the idea of Tampa Bay minus a 3 here. I think they come in here and they play pretty well. And I'm just not fully sold. I mean, once you face if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you throttle the Jacksonville Jaguars and then you have to turn around and face Tampa Bay's defense, I think that would be a little hard. And so I'm actually going to back the Bucs here minus a 3, but I wouldn't say it's a massive lean or anything like that. Baltimore Ravens coming into this game, beating the Colts 24-16, and they were a 6-point dog in that game. And then Dallas comes in as a 1-point dog, losing 21-31 to LA on a total of 36.5. Remember, Dallas' season total is 7.5 as well. Who do you like, Craig?
Bet the hardballs. That's what you should learn so far. Chargers, they're 2-0 in the preseason. They played in the Hall of Fame game. The Ravens, as you said, as an underdog. Again, Harbaugh in his career absolutely owns the preseason. He had like a 21-game winning streak through the preseason or something last year that was strapped. The Cowboys they're a problem. Jerry Jones he wrecked the season before it started with the whole Mike Parsons. Just pay the dude. The dude's maybe the best player in football on defense, and you're going to end up paying him. So go ahead and get it out of the way. But until they do, I think Dallas is a dumpster fire. Milton did not look good as I thought he would last week. Give me Ravens here, and I'm going to do the opposite of what I said. If it's a 1-point favorite, you take the money line. If it's a 1-point underdog, you take the points, FYI, because of the overtime rule. So give me the Ravens on the money line. Is this the last game? Yeah, last game, 9:30 game on Saturday. It's in Denver. Denver's favored by 6 against the Cardinals here. I think this could be a pretty good matchup. I think both of these teams, I thought looked pretty good last week. What do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, I think Denver is obviously interested in winning ball games. I think Arizona comes off a nice win against Kansas City, 20-17. And, you had Tune and Murray. Murray went 7 for 8. He did throw an interception, and Brissett went 5 for 8. I think the total sits at 40 in this game. Denver comes into this game having won 30-9. I think they're going to face a much more competent offense than the Niners. The Niners actually started off really well. I think they went up 9 or 10-0, and then the wheels fell off after Mac Jones decided, decided to sit him out. And then I'm telling you, this Denver quarterback rotation is good. It's good. It's a bunch of young guys that are pushing each other. Between Stidham, who went 14 for 15, Nix went 6 for 11, Ellinger went 6 for 10. None of them threw an interception, by the way. 3 touchdowns. They're all pushing each other. I do like the Denver Broncos. I think they'll be fine. I also like the Arizona Cardinals, too, because I think they get up for this game a little bit, too. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this game goes over the posted total of 40. I know that's a lot of points, but I think these Denver quarterbacks want to score, And I also think Arizona, it kind of makes me a little nervous because I just think it's obvious everybody's going to be on Denver, too. But I can see Arizona showing up a little bit here, too. And I can see this game going over the posted total.
All right, so that's what we have. That's all the games for Saturday. You can click right here, and you can see if you're still early, you can get Friday's games we have, and then we'll have Sunday's 2 games, and then even the one for Monday. So make sure you click here to get all those. And don't forget, go over to the website and get our early bird passes, $7.49 for any capper. So you can get myself or IC, of course, buy one of ours. That's why we do all this work, show you what we can do. So make sure you check that out. Good luck, and we'll see you on the next one.